What if the greatest headmaster in Hogwarts history had never worn Gryffindor red? What if, on the night Albus Dumbledore first sat beneath the sorting hat, it looked into his brilliant mind and declared one unexpected word: Slytherin. At first, that sounds completely wrong. We remember Dumbledore as the wise, compassionate wizard who stood against Voldemort. But if you look closely at his younger years, the choice isn't as strange as it seems. Before he became the man we know, Dumbledore was exceptionally ambitious. He dreamed of revolutionizing the wizarding world alongside Gellert Grindelwald. He believed extraordinary people should lead, even for the greater good. Those are thoughts the Sorting Hat might have noticed. So let's say Dumbledore enters Slytherin House instead of Gryffindor. His intelligence doesn't change, his kindness doesn't disappear, but the environment around him does. In Slytherin, ambition is admired rather than questioned. Students are encouraged to seek influence, prestige, and greatness. A young Dumbledore, already considered a once-in-a-century talent, would likely become the most brilliant student his house had ever produced. Instead of being known as the brightest Gryffindor, he'd become the pride of Slytherin itself. And that changes the way history sees the house. For centuries, Slytherin became associated with dark witches and wizards, especially after Voldemort's rise. But imagine if its greatest symbol had been Albus Dumbledore instead. Suddenly, Slytherin has a hero whose legacy rivals any founder's ideals. Future students might grow up inspired by wisdom instead of pure ambition, but the biggest butterfly effect comes much earlier. When Dumbledore meets Grindelwald, their friendship is already built on shared brilliance and ambition. In canon, that relationship nearly leads Dumbledore down a dangerous path before Ariana's death forces him to confront the consequences of his beliefs. Now ask yourself this: if Dumbledore had spent 7 years in a house that constantly celebrated ambition, would he have resisted Grindelwald or embraced him even more deeply? It's possible their plans would have lasted longer. Perhaps Dumbledore would take years instead of months to reject the idea of ruling for the greater good. That delay could give Grindelwald far more time to build his movement before anyone stood against him. Ironically, though, that same Slytherin upbringing might also make Dumbledore an even more formidable opponent later. He would understand ambition from the inside. He would know exactly how power attracts people because he'd spent his life surrounded by it. When the time finally came to oppose Grindelwald and later Voldemort, he might be even better prepared than in the original timeline. And maybe that's the most fascinating part of this thought experiment. Dumbledore's greatest strength was never his house. It was his ability to recognize when he was wrong and choose a different path. So if the Sorting Hat had placed him in Slytherin, would history remember him as the house's greatest hero or its greatest tragedy? If you enjoyed this Harry Potter What If, subscribe to Spellhaven, because sometimes one choice at the sorting ceremony can echo through the entire wizarding world.